What is going on, high ticket coaching community? I'm so pumped today to be sharing my first ever quarterly recap in my business. I thought it'd be really powerful if I can share with you guys exactly what happened in the last 3 months of our business and all the lessons we learned from it. So I have kind of my notes here and I wanted to go through quickly. But if you're tuning in right now on YouTube, hit that subscribe button if you like content around growing and scaling your coaching business and making a bigger impact. If you're in the Facebook group and you're new, welcome to the community. The highticketcoachingcommunity.com is where we drop value every single week and help all the coaches go from that 5 figures a month to 6 figures to eventually 7 figures throughout the year. And showing you how to do that through sales, clients, impact, systems, all of my breakthroughs in my journey after having made over $2.5 million now as an online high ticket coach, sharing all my goods, my secrets. So today I'm gonna jump right into it. I want to go over our Q1. Q1 stands for quarter one of the year. So from January to March, we just ended it. It's right now April. So I want to share our results and then my reflection of it, the recap of it, and the lessons and that I learned, and break that all down. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it's valuable too. So we'll get started with how much revenue we did. So we had quite a big sales month in January. And then some of the sales we made, we ended up downselling to other offers that I thought would be a bigger chunk. And then, so that kind of cut it. So like we ended it around, I thought it was about 500. It was like a $500,000 a month, and it kind of leaked into the next month. So it went lower to like 400 that month. Then we had some people obviously that sign up and we count that as a sale. And then we go, okay, decide it's not to move forward. Like, hey, this is not the right time or the right fit. And so overall, the average over the last 3 months, we did about $700,000 in revenue for this year, which is cool because I looked at my Stripe from last year, my year to date comparison. And we're like already double 2.5 times growth from last year, this exact time. So Q1 last year, I think we only did like 300 something. And this year we're already at like 700, which is pretty cool. So our company's growing at more than double the rate year to year, which is awesome. So we did 700,000 in revenue. And what's more impressive is we collected $600,000 of that in cash. A lot of people will sell 100 grand, but they'll collect like 30 grand. So like they're always cash poor, but revenue rich. And revenue rich is pretty useless. Unless you have the cash in your bank account, you can't do anything with it. So we collected like 80-90% of the sales we made in cash, which is awesome. It's something we help our elite clients with in my mastermind about how to increase the cash collected rate in your sales. Because I notice some people say like they have $50,000 a month business, but they only collect like 10 grand a month. And that's really scary. So we collected 600 grand in cash between wires and Stripe. That's not including our other revenue streams we have income streams between like referral partnerships we have set up. So that's just sales for our 2 core programs, scaling at clients and elite 7-figure leadership. So we did 700 grand in revenue. And so here's my kind of recap. The average is about, over 200 grand a month. And it's funny because like January, we had a bigger month. It was like 400,000 or so. And then February, we dipped back down to like 150 because I had a mastermind event that month. And I was running 2 events internally, an event like that, and then one for my core clients. And so I just didn't focus on marketing. So if you notice in your business, anytime you take your mind off growth and you go into building again, or internal, like work on stuff, projects, income goes down because like, undoubtedly as a CEO, you're not pushing energy into more top line sales. So that's why we kind of went back to 150. And then March, we had a great month. We did 280,000 revenue. And then we collected again, like 245 of that. So we're just like super high cash collected rate. So we're like really cash rich, which is awesome. And our revenue is also only growing to date. So it's awesome. Okay, here's some lessons I learned. So after looking at Q1, I just recently joined Sam Evans' mastermind as well. And we were just kind of all shooting the shit, 80 founders in a room. And we were talking so much about simplicity and clarity and doing less. And so I realized, man, after going there and being around a lot of people, there's a lot of people there still making like 30 to 50 grand. And then there's a few heavy hitters hitting like a few $1 million a month in that room. And a lot of other people are doing like 100 grand, 150 grand. And obviously I'm doing between like 2 to 400,000. So I remember coming out of that and reflecting on my Q1, and I'm like, damn, like what can I learn from this? First thing I could learn is like focus over experimentation. So one of my biggest lessons I learned from looking at last quarter is I've been in experimentation phase for a long time. Actually, I would say from last year, where I'm always like trying to see what's the next thing that's going to be the best thing. So I've done like challenges, I've done virtual events, I've done promotions, we've done email marketing, I've done ads to a low ticket course and then try to call the person. And then we've done we've done organic marketing. And the thing that's made us the most money is viral organic marketing. And it's not even like organic marketing. It's like very specific and tailored to going viral. So I have reels on Instagram right now and shorts on YouTube. And now we're uploading to Facebook that are going viral, like it's catching virality. And then people hit me up and that becomes a hot lead. And then we have our posts on Facebook going viral as well. And so viral to me is like anything over 100 engagements, 100 likes, 100 comments. And we get those, like every time I post at this point goes over 100. And that's been, over a year of organic mastery. But viral organic marketing brought us in the most money. So I'm like, man, I got to focus on the thing that's working the most. And I think in everyone's business, at some point, you start an experimentation phase because you don't know what's going to work. So you kind of have to go try a bunch of different things to see, okay, is this going to work? Is this going to work? And then you look back at all the things you try and go, okay, and then you make a decision based on looking back, like what worked. But I think a lot of people stay in that experimentation phase. They don't realize they have to reach a point where they look back and go, what worked, and just do that. And I think I've reached that point. I'm only going to do one more type of experiment next month, and I'm going to do a paid virtual event. So I did a 2-day boot camp. That was really cool. But the numbers came out less than my 5-day challenge. So the 5-day challenge still makes more money and it creates more impact and more people are happy. So I'm like, well, let me try a paid 2-day event. Maybe higher quality people will come on, higher level, and it's like a higher buy rate. So I'm going to try that. And then after that, I've done 2 challenges, one with a back-end upsell, like a VIP upsell. And then I've done 1 free event, and I'm gonna do a paid event. And I'm gonna look at all 4 events and go, which event model am I gonna go do more of? And so I'm gonna focus on. So then I'm gonna get out of experimentation phase and just focus on viral organic marketing on Facebook, because that's literally brought us in 70, 80% of our sales, and events. And the events are the other half of my sales once they're in my ecosystem. The events are crazy sales converters, which actually is one of my points. Your events work really well. So if you guys don't know how to sell from a stage or to run a virtual event, or I haven't done an in-person event for a while to sell, but like virtual event I've done, and like do a 2-day or a 5-day content and teach, you guys are missing out. So think of it like this, like there's two parts of marketing and sales, right? Traffic and conversion. So traffic is getting attention and people into your world, which is what viral organic marketing does really well. So for my traffic strategy, I go viral in groups and I go viral on Facebook, and that's literally worked the best. But then there's the conversion strategy. It's like, what's your conversion? So once the traffic comes in, how do you convert them in? And some people will do a Facebook group and like try to book a call there. Others do DM setting, right? Appointment setting. But people try to call those leads. Some people send them to a VSL. Once you get the traffic, send them to a VSL, watch this thing. So those are all different conversion methods, conversion strategies, right? And so for me, I've noticed that events and appointment setting, like, DM setting and booking calls, because we book calls every day. And we do that through DM setting, through all the viral organic traffic we get. But so it's like 3 to 5% of the traffic we get are ready to book a call now, which gets us about 5 to 10 calls a day. 5 days on an average, like 3 to 5 on an average, 10 on a really good day. Calls a day that get into our calendar, and we close those sales. And so that comes from viral organic marketing, and that happens every day. But that's like 3 to 5%, maybe 10% max, but 90% of people still aren't ready to buy or talk to you. And so I found that an event, like a challenge or 2-day event, something where for free they get to come in and experience coaching with you, is an extremely effective thing, because they might not be ready to talk to you in the chat or book a call, because they know that might lead to like, I want to buy now. So they might not feel ready to join a program with you until they've experienced you first. So for sales, for a conversion strategy method, an event does better than anything I've ever seen, because they go for free through this experience with you, where you get them so much value and they actually feel like they should have paid you because that event was so powerful. And then at that point, at the end of it, when you offer the program, it's a no-brainer. Like, of course I do it, because like this, I want more of this. So those 2 things I'm going to focus on the most in the next quarter, Q2. Focus over experimentation. I want to stop experimenting. I'm going to go straight into focusing on the things that work and doing less of the things that don't. In fact, in last Q1, we cut off a lot of our agencies. We cut off a lot of things I was trying. And I cut off, I think, 10 to 15 grand a month worth of expenses of things I was just experimenting with. So like, we also just saved 180 grand a year. So I think that like that's back in my pocket. That's awesome. Next one is the idea of growth versus building. So I realized we, like last year, we did about $1.7 million. And I honestly think I could have done 5 million if I had just focused on just the things that work and got out of building phase. And building phase is when you guys are still building your course out, building your structure out, building your team out, building your trackers out, building your audience out, anything that has to do with non-money making activities, those are building things. So the longer you stay in building phase, the less money you keep making. And it's because you're not focused on top line, you're focused on infrastructure. And so there's infrastructure and, figuring out what CRM are you going to use, who's going to be your team member, training those team members. These are not non-money making activities. So I feel like since last year, even though we did 1.7 million, we could have done 5 if I got out of that phase. But since last year till now, I'm still in the building phase. And it hit me looking back at Q1. When I was looking back at Q1, I'm like, man, we still have finishing touches to put on our products to our clients. Like I still want to give them some things. I'm going to refine some things. I'm going to revise some things. I'm like, we still have to create some of our infrastructure in the team. I'm like, for that reason, every week, every month that goes by, we keep looking at what else has to be done. And so the whole company's focus is not on just growth. And I look at all the companies like in the masterminds I've been in, Russell's mastermind, Sam's mastermind, even looking at the other people in the industry, I'm like, all these people that are making more money than us and doing better in terms of like top line, like KPIs, like sales and clients, like they're just out of the building phase. Like I remember asking Sam a question like, so what's your SOPs like? And like, where's your trackers? He's like, we don't do any of that. I'm like, why? There's nothing to track. You just take calls and you close them. And I'm like, man, he's reached a point in business where he's not building anything anymore. And it's just a matter of doing the same things that work all the time, but doing it better. So booking calls and closing calls, and that's it, and getting client results. And so his life's become so simplified. And I'm like, I can't have that yet because I didn't finish the things, the projects and the stuff in my structure, my business that I want, that I have to finish in order to just focus on sales. So if you're relating to this in any way, like get out of the building phase as fast as possible. Like whatever you got to do, block up a whole week. Don't make any sales at all. Don't do anything, but sit down and just build out the structure of your company, build out the structure of your program, build out the structure and finish it. Because once you finish it, you can literally just focus and boom. I remember last year, a good example is this. We had our first $200,000 a month in March of last year, which is exactly a year ago. And in April and May, we only made like 50 to 60 grand a month. So imagine going from 200 grand to like 50 grand or 40 grand, I think the next month. I'm like, what the hell? And it's because right after I made the $200,000 a month, I bought myself a couple one-on-one clients, like a handful of them. So I had half my week was just 90-minute to 2-hour sessions one-on-one with clients. And the other half of the week I was building out, I went back into building out the program for SGC. I wanted to like add some new modules. So I'm like, okay, I'm building and I'm working and I'm in the business. So I can't I can't focus on like growth and new clients. And like directly I saw the sales drop because I wasn't in the forefront of my business, like posting my content on top of my sales, looking at the KPIs. I wasn't. And so I realized that from then and even now, I'm like, man, if I'm always in building phase, then I'm not focused on growth. So sales will not increase. Sales only go up when you're focused on growth. We did our $400,000 or $500,000 a month in January. We were stuck at like 100 grand 3 weeks in. It was in the last 7 days that we did another 300,000 in sales, and completely changed the month over. And it's because I was only focused on sales. I was only focused on bringing in new clients. Where's the hottest clients we can get into our mastermind? Where's the hottest clients we can get to SGC? How can I put out more stuff, get more people in? And I tried all these things, and I did an event as well. I did 2 events actually, an internal event and a 5-day challenge. And it's like, I'm like, man, if I just did that every month, right? Like if I did that consistently over a period of time, it would only grow compound because I won't get better at it. And so the biggest stopper and killer of companies I see, businesses, is that they just either run in circles because they never finish a project and they're never done. They never complete the infrastructure so they can just focus on growth, or they're always experimenting. That's why my 2 biggest lessons from my last quarter is focusing over experimentation and growth over building. So those are the things now. So this whole month I've dedicated to building. So I'm not taking calls. I'm doing very little meetings. And I'm making everything, I'm like canceling stuff, commitments and all that, because I'm going to finish building. We're building out a whole new version of our elite for our clients. Like we're showing them how to build out their infrastructure, their team, how to do marketing at scale, how to set up the foundations of your business, your CEO workflow, like really, really, really cool stuff. Engineering flow, like insane stuff. So I'm like, but I need to focus on this, or else if I always have a half-assed product done, like a half-finished product done, I'm never going to feel good about growing. So and then I want to revamp my scaling clients program and make it simpler, make it shorter, make it easier to go through, and add some new stuff from what we learned from viral organic marketing, and give my clients only the best posts that we know works for a fact to go viral. And just so you're always working on things that work and not doing things that don't. So I'm like, I need the whole month. So this is a building month for me. I don't expect a lot of sales. We're aiming for another $200,000-300,000 a month in cash. And I'm like, we'll just do that based on what we did last month. And then I'll focus on getting to 500, 700, $1 million a month in Q3 and 4. So this quarter, we're aiming for just $1 million in cash and for over the 3 months. So it'd be about $350 a month, I think. So I'm like, we could do that. Guys, yeah. Isaiah. Okay. I thought I see something. Because I'm in my living room. So if he walks, you'll see him right there. So so our Q2 goals is just $1 million in cash. And we're cutting expenses down so we can keep over 50% of that. Because last year as well, we had a really bad time with profit margins. And I didn't realize that until, because all the money came in, I would just put it into all these big investments and masterminds. And like, we spent like $400,000 just in investments and masterminds last year. So this year I'm cutting down on that. Not because they're not bad. Every investment I made has made me a return. So technically there's no expense, but I do also want cash in the bank account to do other things with it. So I don't want to just keep giving it to programs and masterminds. I've invested quite a bit of money for those. So I'm like, there's a point you reach where you're like, just do what you know. And I just pay for ongoing mentorship and stuff like that. So focus over experimentation, growth through rebuilding. Events work really well. So if you don't do events, like you're crazy. I'm doing a 2-day speaker training, a speaker and event training this week from all my elite clients to show them how to pretty much speak to influence and be captivating, get people to engage, how to influence an audience, and then also how to run a 5-day challenge, a 2-day virtual event, and make sales, like the funnel, the breakdown, the ad strategy. I'm doing all that for my elite this week, which is exciting. So I'll be off the grid for like this month. If you don't hear from me, see posts and stuff every now and then, that's why. My team and I will still be in the chat because we like to talk to people, but building time. So another big thing I realized recapping my Q1 is the 80-20 rule. 80% of my income came from 20% of my clients, which is my lead. So it's like, if you guys don't have a backhand, like a mastermind offer, you're crazy. From the 600,000 in cash we collected, 700,000 in revenue. Like not 80% of that was a lead, but like a lot of it was. And so when I look at like our monthly sales or our overall sales, our core offer is actually the majority. It is more than half of our income. But when I see like some of our best months, 80% of the cash and the sales come from 20% of the clients, which is a lead. Because one elite client is $36,000 for us. We do a 36,000 usually for 6 months in my mastermind, but we've doubled it. Currently running a promotion to do it for a year. So twice the time in elite. So $36,000 now for the year. And these are the clients that come in, we scale them past 6 figures a month consistently. They never drop below 6 figures a month because we give them everything they need to do that. And so I'm like, obviously one client is that. And then my core program is nowhere near close to that. It's much more affordable. And so it takes so many more clients to get to a $36,000 income. So 80-20 rule is really interesting to me because if you look at your business, you might find that 80% of your income also comes from 20% of the clients, and 80% of your results might come from 20% of the clients. And so that's what I realized, which is having a back-end offer makes your coaching business super profitable because an elite sale usually comes from within the core program, and there's no cost for the acquisition. Like they just ascend to that and they pay. And so you have to pay money or time to acquire a first-hand client, which is upfront, a front-end client, which is in your core program, your 5 to 10K offer. But then it costs nothing to ascend them to 36,000, 40,000, 50,000, whatever you charge, 20,000, which is crazy. So that was another big breakthrough I had. So I'm like focus on elites more, right? Like ascension. So one thing about the team stuff I realized in Q1 is last year we didn't do this a lot, which is shocking to me because how did we survive? Well, I never used to do shadowing in my team, like shadowing or training people. Like the way I would train people is like someone comes in, I'm like, all right, whoever was doing the last job, just go tell them what to do. And so we had a really shitty team building strategy last year. And this year I look back at Q1 and I actually sat down with some of my setters and my salespeople. And I sat down with my assistant, I sat down with my client success manager, I sat down with operations manager, and I did all these one-on-one like focused meetings with them, and I shadowed them, and they shadowed me, and I trained them one-on-one, and I only had to do that once or twice max, and they got it, and then they got way better results in every part of the business. I'm like, man, I should have done this earlier, but I was afraid because I'm like, I don't want to spend one-on-one time with people. And I want to just everyone figure it out and, delegate. But sometimes delegation could actually be the killer of performance in the business. And so my biggest takeaway from team building, results from this last quarter, which we did really well, was shadowing and training equals better team results. So if your setters aren't doing good, like spend an hour with them on a one-on-one Zoom call and look at what they're doing and literally correct them as they do it. And like, do it this way and give them strategies. We created a whole new strategy and appointment setting that has crushed it. It's called testimonial setting. And I literally was on a call with my setter for about 45 minutes and I saw him what he was doing. I'm like, why don't you do this? And I took a screenshot of a testimonial. I sent it to them. I created a script for him. Like, do this. He started booking like twice the amount of calls every day. And they started making more sales, actually good quality calls. So people with high qualifications were getting on calls with us. I'm like, this is awesome. So that came from me spending one-on-one time. I sit down one-on-one with my salesperson. I'm like, hey, like, what's the call like? What's going on here? And we created a whole strategy. We created a list of all these different objections people have. I'm like, let's find the client in our program that overcomes that objection for them so we can inspire people to believe it's possible. So like we created all these things from one-on-one. My client success manager, she was super overwhelmed. She had all these tasks and projects. I sat down with her for an hour and a half one day. And I'm just like, here's how I want you to think about project management. I'm like, look at your list. Here's how you order things. Prioritize it like this. These are not tasks. And I just cleaned her whole life up. And she's like, oh my God, every day she's been clear now. She's been working better. She's not getting sick as much because she used to get sick because she was overwhelmed all the time. And I thought, I'm just like, you're just getting sick all the time. But no, it's because of my poor leadership. Like I didn't know how to help my team do their job better. And so shadowing them and focused training time one-on-one with each person on your team is very important. In fact, what I'm doing in Q2 is I have all these new workflows built out for each person and pretty much the job description, the workflow and the SOP for what they should be doing. So the what to do and how to do it. And I'm going to be doing one-on-ones with each person on my team all over again, but this time to train them on the job as if they got hired. Because I know if I do that once, there's no miscommunication. And then I got to make sure they know how to transfer that to the next person. The problem with me was in my business, I never actually did that. All my people, my core team, they developed their talent and skills through figuring it out with me. So I never let that and just train, which is ironic because that's literally all I do with my clients is I train them and their teams. It's like, when we focus on serving our clients, sometimes we forget that we need some of the stuff we do for clients. And so that's totally a funny thing that happens inside of coaching business. It's like you serve your clients with stuff and then you forget to do it for yourself. Last thing, building momentum over traveling commitments. So funny enough, I paid $50,000 to be in Russell Brunson's mastermind. And I think I only get access to like 2 or 3 like actual masterminds to go to events. And I went to one in October last year and the next one's this month and I'm not going. Some people are like, you're crazy, you paid $50,000. Why don't you go? Like, it's amazing. I'm like, because there's something in my gut that says, I don't want to travel right now. Like, I really don't want to keep moving around. It completely throws you off momentum. You understand when you travel, first of all, if you're in momentum, it's the most dangerous thing to do is to sign up for commitments or go traveling, doing shit that gets you out of your momentum zone, your strength zone. And it's because like, first of all, you got to pack. First, you got to plan for all of it, right? Then you got to pack. Then you got to go to an airport. And then you got to fly to the thing, which could take hours or 5 hours, which is annoying. It's 7 hours to go to Boise. I'm like, screw that. And I got to go there. And I got to now I got to be in a hotel throughout the time that week or 3-4 days. So I got to try to work not in my environment. And then I got to go to that event and be completely unavailable for like 2 days. And I have to like sit there and like hope that all the value I'm getting there, which is always good, is like worth more than what I could have done if I was alone and just working. And then I got to come back. And then when you get back, there's the delayed effect of like, you just traveled and you're back. So you kind of want to get back into momentum. And I learned this from one of my mentors, like if you take a 1 week off momentum, it could take you up to like 4 to 8 weeks to build that back up to the same momentum. So if you're in a high momentum and you even take more than 2 days off in a row and kill your momentum, it could take you weeks to get back to it, if not months. So I'm like, do I really, like, is it really important right now? I started questioning what I'm doing. Instead of justifying why I should do it, I'm questioning why I should do it. And a lot of you guys, you can't focus because you don't have the strategy. In fact, I learned this from watching Sam. I was watching Sam Ovens and people were asking him all these questions like, hey, why don't you have a call center call all your people that join the VSL funnel? Why don't you have like he does his own videos, his YouTube videos, and he does his own thumbnails. He doesn't even delegate that. And someone's like, why don't you just hire someone from Upwork to do it for you? And he said something that like just made me realize how patiently focused this guy is. He goes, well, I still haven't been able to post 1 video a week on YouTube without fucking it up. So until I can do that right, I'm not going to do anything else. I remember looking at him like, man, that takes a lot of self-control and discipline, like, and just patience and wisdom. He's right. Because a lot of us, how many of us like start a bunch of things and like have a dozen things open but never finish or close them. And so therefore we can never focus on anything to master it. So we do everything half-assed good instead of doing one thing really well. So he won't even move on to delegating a thumbnail, which literally takes like probably $10 on Fiverr to do, and maybe 10 minutes of your time to explain to it. It's like, I won't even bother my mind with that until I know I can post every single week and that system's complete. And I'm like, then I thought about all the things I did last year in this last quarter. And I'm like, I did not do that. I tried so many different things. I was experimenting all the time. I never just locked into one thing. So now I'm excited for the rest of the year. And I'm actually just feel good. I feel so clear because I'm like, I know what I'm going to do, nothing else. And so that's why I'm like, I'm not going to that event. I got invited to another 2 Comma Club big party thing with some friends. And I'm just like, I didn't respond. I'm like, I'm not going. I have my own mastermind event to host at the end of this month with my clients. I'm like, until then, I'm just going to be focusing on building momentum and finishing the stuff I want to finish. And that feels good. It feels like the right thing to do. So, I mean, if you guys are people that love to travel and like sign up for a bunch of commitments, like clubs to be a part of and things that you do, just like, I don't know how you do it. Like it's like if someone has a program, like sell it to me. I don't know how you do it, because if you're not locked in, there's no way you're going to get momentum. And momentum is the holy grail of entrepreneurship. Momentum when things are happening, like when sales are happening. Like last month, we collected $245,000 in cash. I'm like, man, now I want to collect $345,000. And the only way I do that is I focus. And I want to create 3 more millionaires in my elite, create 3 more people that cross 6 figures a month. And so I'm like, I just got to focus, and it's not like that we don't know what to do. It's that I don't do what I know because I'm not giving myself a distraction-free environment to do that. And so signing up for events and commitments, these are awesome. I think once a quarter I should go out to one. I chose Sam's. So next quarter I'll go to Russell's if there's another one, right? But for this quarter, I'm like, I'm all evented out. Like I've hosted one event already. I'm hosting another one. I did a virtual event and a challenge. I'm like, so many fucking events happening. I'm like, and events take a lot of energy. Hosting one takes a lot because you got to focus, you got to prepare and everything. And then going to one as well. It's almost the same thing because you pretty much have to take your eye off the things that make the business grow and put on something else. And hope that wherever it's going is going to serve the thing when you get back. And it's worth the loss of momentum. And so the lesson I learned is like, when I saw Sam, how he thought, Sam didn't justify why he should do things, because I'm sure he could come up with a lot of good reasons for why he should hire a call center to call people and do all these new strategies. It sounds good, right? But be careful of good sounding bad ideas. Good sounding bad ideas. It's a bad idea if it throws you off momentum, if it's a distraction to the ultimate thing that works. But it sounds good, right? And that's the trick. It's like that's the trick. And so I noticed he doesn't justify, he questions everything. So like you have to sell him, you have to convince him why he should do something different than you, if he's already knowing what to do that works. And a lot of us, and I look at myself in the last quarter and like my last year in business, I justified everything because everything sounded good. And you didn't have to sell me on why I should do it. You had to tell me why I shouldn't do it. So I was the complete opposite strategy. Therefore, I got myself into a non-focused environment of work because I had to be convinced to stop doing things or not do things. And now I'm just like, no, convince me why I should. Like people like want to meet with me. And I'm just like, why are we meeting? What's the purpose? Can you send me a Loom instead? Can you send me a message instead? Because for me to get on a meeting, I got to take my eye off. I got to go from being dialed in to, dialing out. And that's not worth it now. It's very, very expensive to lose momentum. So I'm not traveling for this quarter, not much at least. And I've canceled a lot of commitments. And shout out to some of my friends in the space. They also did the same. And I'm like, man, they're being robotic. And I'm like, no, I get it. Because if you really want to build something great, it takes focus, concentration, and consistency. And those things require a distraction-free environment, and it requires simple life with simple lifestyle, simplicity, and clarity in what you're doing. And clarity only comes from simplicity. When you actually have less things to think about and less things to do, you're clear. And when you're clear, it encourages and completely fuels drive and focus, concentration, and mastery. So that's my Q1 results and my reflections. The lessons I learned, hopefully it was helpful to you guys. I got a meeting to go to. Love you guys lots. Going to make the rest of your week the best of your week.